Good morning, clown world. How's everybody doing this chilly Wednesday morning? It's Wednesday, my dudes. Um, wow, what a crazy 2 weeks it's been, eh? Now, a little bit longer than 2 weeks since, Christmas time. So about, to the 15th today. So yeah, about 20 days, 3 weeks. Crazy 3 weeks. Crazy 3 weeks. We had the crazy Saudi Arabian Islamophobic Muslim driving his car into a crowd of Germans just before Christmas. Then during the Christmas break, we had the mini civil war that erupted between Elon Musk and MAGA patriots over the H-1B visas, and then Trump threatening tariffs, which basically caused a gigantic fiasco up here in Canada, where the finance minister Chrystia Freeland was in disagreement with Trudeau regarding this gimmick he wanted to pass. It was like basically a goods and services tax. He wanted to give people, couple $100, a GST holiday, he called it, because he's doing so bad in the polls. He's basically destroyed the country, and he's doing so bad in the polls that, he was going to just throw out this gimmick there and try. I don't know what he was thinking, but he was going to try it. And long story short, they had a disagreement. He was going to get her fired. He was going to replace her as finance minister right before she gave this fall economic update, and basically said, "No, fuck you. I'm going to resign." And that just like this is all based on Trump signaling that he was going to impose tariffs on Canada, right? And so Trump basically imploded the Canadian government. His trolling basically is what led to all this, right? So we had that. Trudeau came out just before the New Year, I think, or was it during the New Year? I don't know. So much has happened over this last 3 weeks. It's hard to keep track of everything. So basically, Trudeau came out and kind of resigned. Then we had the New Year's, terrorist attack in New Orleans. Then the Cybertruck explosion, and it's just been one crazy thing after another. And then last week, I got sick. It was a mild cold, but you know how men are. We're big gigantic babies. So yeah, I got sick, and then right around Monday, Tuesday of last week, and then all hell broke loose, literally in Los Angeles, in Wednesday of last week, and that's been sucking up a lot of the attention of what's going on. And it's just one thing after another. Like there's political turmoil throughout the world. Like I mean, South Korea had its little situation where the prime minister or president, I forget which, tried to put in martial law, and then he was basically BTFO'd by the parliament. So I think he's resigned. The elections in Romania have been canceled because Russia. So there's uproar there. In Austria, the far right, as they've been labeled, party won the election, but they were cock blocked from from taking power by the establishment parties, and that coalition has failed. In Germany, they've basically imploded. So Merkel's party basically imploded. Like they couldn't hold their coalition together. So they've imploded. They're having elections in the new year. Well, this year, in very recently, I don't know how quickly they're going to get it together, but yeah, they're having elections, and the AFD looks like it's gonna win a majority in France. Macron tried to cock block Le Pen last year after the EU elections, where the radical right, well, that's what they call them, the radical right. They're really just populist conservatives. But anyways, when the European elections, where the populist conservatives swept in, Macron decided to have a snap election for reasons that are, bewildering. Anyways, long story short, he lost the first round. So he went and made a deal with the radical left to cock block Le Pen from taking power in France. And so he basically, they came to an agreement that wherever the radical left were strong, Macron's candidates would resign, or they would step down from the election, and vice versa. So wherever Macron's candidates were strong, the radical left would not enter a candidate for the second round of elections. And that blew up in his face, because basically he handed the radical left power. And so what ended up happening is they demanded that their guy be installed as prime minister. And Macron's like, no, fuck you. And they said, no, fuck you. And he said, no, fuck you. And they said, no, fuck you. And basically, that blew up in his face. And they're basically, it looks like Le Pen is going to win in the next elections coming up. So all hell is breaking loose everywhere, and at all places, and all at the same time. So yeah, it's been a crazy, 3 weeks, and then just a few months before that, like since Trump's election in November, the beginning of November, it's been a crazy time, where you're seeing conservative, national populists gaining traction everywhere. And yeah, so like I've been just watching it all play out, and it's just crazy. So I just thought I'd start doing these morning things, these morning videos. I'm going to call it Good Morning Clown World. And I'm just basically going to go through my Twitter feed in the morning while I'm having my coffee, and give you guys something to watch, because yeah, why not? So just going through, let's see what's going on over in the UK. Anger over Labour's shameless bid to rid election by easing ID laws. Hell, that's not surprising. Keir Starmer's Labour are dropping voter ID laws, meaning your parcel at the post office is more secure than your vote. Giving millions of foreigners the right to vote, it'll allowing children to vote too. Well, I don't know how they're going to make that happen. Make no mistake, this is a blatant attempt to keep them in power. Yeah, no shit. The whole point of ID laws is to verify the ID of the voter, to make sure they're all eligible to vote. And so there's only one country on earth that doesn't have them. That'd be the United States. Everywhere else, you need a piece of ID with your face and showing your address in order to vote. So yeah, Starmer is so unpopular. He's been such a shit show, and the Brits only have themselves to blame. Like in the election that just happened last year, They had a choice between conservatives, labor, and reform, and they went to labor. I don't know what you were thinking. Like, I don't know what you've been if you've been living in Iraq, but the left has gone insane. They've destroyed America. They've destroyed Canada. So I don't know what you were thinking electing labor um, as a protest vote against what the conservatives have done. So basically, there was great anger in the UK over the conservatives promising to get immigration under control. Basically, they were in power for 14 years and they did nothing. They had the opportunity to stop. Like after Brexit happened in 2016, it was basically a referendum of leaving the EU and regaining their sovereignty, because the EU is a very autocratic institution. It tells all the member countries what they can or cannot do. There's the EU Human Rights Court. There's the EU tells them how they can run their economies and whatnot, immigration, whatnot. And so 2016, when they had labor, when they had the Brexit vote, it was a referendum. It was basically the Brits saying, no, we don't want to be governed by the EU. We have our own government. And so when the Tories were in power for that time, they did nothing to address any of those issues. So they they had the opportunity to leave the European Human Rights Tribunal. They didn't do that. So they're basically being told what they can or cannot do with, immigrants from the EU. Like, they don't have their own autonomy. They couldn't put a handle on the immigration. They had basically dinghies crossing the channel from France, and hundreds, if not thousands of people who are coming over in dinghies from France, and they just kept taking them in and instead of deporting them back to France, they just kept bringing them in, housing them in hotels. Like, literally, they have been invaded for the last, God knows how many years, and the Tories did nothing about it. And so basically what ended up happening was a protest vote against the Tories. And instead of choosing reform, which is Nigel Farage's, populist conservative party, the Brits cast a protest vote with Labour. And so I don't know what the Brits were thinking about when they cast their vote, but they sure are reaping what they sowed. Anyways, let's see what's going on here with Gavin Newsom. I don't know if you can hear the audio.
I also want him to understand the magnitude of what just has occurred in the United States of America. I want to meet with the first responders, the 15 plus 100 that were dying heroically in those first hours of this firefighting.
I don't really give a shit what he's saying. The guy's a piece of shit. So he's basically saying, I want the president-elect to meet with the communities impacted by the Los Angeles wildfires. Urge him to meet with the brave firefighters. I don't know if that's a problem for Trump. Trump has a tendency to go and visit these areas that are hit by disasters. So okay, what day is it? Ask Pooh. It's the day to start welding. Oh, Lord. Yep. Violent crime, immigration, yeah. Part of it is that. The other problem is we have the diverse people already in our countries that are causing the violent crime. I'm just going to pause and grab a smoke. Nope, not yet. All right, I'm back. So, here we go. Portugal sending People in prison for sarcastic tweets. Disgraceful. I will be arrested in February 2025 for having written 7-word tweet in an ironic and sarcastic tone against left-wing activists. Wow. So this is where Portugal is right now. Let's have a look at something. Bear with me here. I want to see what the government is right now. Government of Portugal. The main organ. Who's running the country right now? What are their affiliation or their leadings? That doesn't tell us anything. Center-left Socialist Party. All right, well, there you go. Don't vote for socialists, Portugal. And you won't have this kind of Soviet-type repression of what you can say. Maybe you'll learn your fucking lesson. Hey, what's going on? What does Carl Benjamin have to say? Insane. What's insane? These figures would have you believe that Britain recently had conflict that required mass mobilization, ending with millions of casualties. Disability claims are skyrocketing. Yeah, that's probably all the foreigners you fucking let into the country. So from 2015, it was about just over 500,000. Wow. So in 2025, it's almost 4 million. It's like more than quadrupled. That's crazy. Oh my goodness. There's a lot of stupid people on social media. Let's see what else is going on. Oh, Chris Hadfield. Fucking Canada's cringiest astronaut. What's going on here? During the CNN defamation trial, Jake Tapper testified in a pre-taped deposition. He does not pay attention to ratings when asked about the show's viewership. Fox News Digital found more than a dozen online posts contradicting his sworn testimony. No shit. No shit. CNN anchor Jake Tapper made the bold claim under oath during the network's high-profile defamation trial that appears to be undercut by his own social media activity. Tapper gave his deposition in a pre-recorded video that was presented to jurors on Tuesday in the trial brought by U.S. Navy veteran Zachary Young, who has accused CNN of defaming him in a report that first aired on The Lead with Jake Tapper in 2021. So basically what happened was this Navy veteran guy, Zachary Young, they accused him of how some malfeasance and basically caused him to lose contracts. I don't know why CNN is punching down like this with the amount of malfeasance they could go after and investigate in the media, in government. They're basically punching down at some like ordinary Joe who's just trying to live his life. It's like the same way they went after that Nick Sandman kid who had the audacity to smirk at some wacko fucking Indian beating off in front of him. Anyways, Mr. Tapper, can you give an overview of the viewership numbers of your show? The lead Young's attorney is heard off camera asking. I cannot. Tapper responded, you have no idea how many people watch the lead on an average basis. I do not pay attention to ratings. Tapper replied, blah, blah, blah. And then let's go to one of the tweets from Jake Tapper here. Ratings go up, ratings go down, but the United States of Scandal had the highest ratings. Yeah. Maybe a good idea for these fucking people not to be on social media. You know, isn't your life busy enough? You got to go on social media and tweet. Anyways, what's going on here? All right, don't give a shit about New Scum. Breaking, the Norwegian appeals court claims that I do unserious journalism has banned me from doing my job as a journalist. This comes after I exposed how young girls are being groomed by leaders in a cult. Wow, even in Norway too, eh? So let's see what's going on here. Democracy and decency is dead in Norway, despite the fact that I have more readers in all mainstream media in Norway. Well, that's why they're going after you, because you have more clout than the prostitutes do. More people are following you than the actual media. So that's why they're going after you. So despite the fact that I have more readers than the mainstream media in Norway, the court claims my journalism is unserious. Well, the courts are unserious. The court has banned me from asking questions to the cult, effectively hindering my work as a journalist. What's going on? Why is this being covered up? Why am I as the whistleblower being silenced? I can now reveal also the police officer that was involved in interrogating me, and the case is also heavily involved in the same cult. Was grooming the young girls. So basically, we're like, that meme, that you're paying taxes to pedophiles is pretty much on the money here. Dan Bongino says Biden is human garbage. His determined effort to fuck over America on his way out the door is without precedent. Yeah, well, that's what before Biden was elected, the word in the street was he was a vainglorious. I mean, the man's been running for president for 50 years. So he has an overinflated ego, thinks super highly of himself, and he feels that he's been fucked over by not only the Democrats but by the American people. Despite on how bad his reign was, he feels that Americans lack appreciation for him, and he is determined to make life as miserable as possible for as many people as possible. That's the problem with these people. So, yeah, what are you going to say about that? The guy's going to probably be the worst president in American history. Declaration of memes here, just taking a shit on Karl Marx. It's amazing to me that people 200 still follow an ideology from 200 years ago. When you go to the doctor's office, Do you ask him, do you ask him to, like, when you have an ailment, do you say, like, give me what they were doing 200 years ago, doc? I want the state of the art medical treatment from 200 years ago. Give me the leeches, doc. Give me the leeches. Because basically, when Marx came up with his twisted ideology, it was in the 1800s. That's about almost 200 years ago. So like 150, 180 years ago. You know what else was big back then? Leeches. Like the medical theory back then was you had bad spirits in your blood. And so when you go to the doctor with, let's say, I don't know, some sort of ailment that doesn't make you feel good, you go to the doctors and they would apply leeches because the leeches would suck the bad spirits out of your blood and that would heal you. So my question is to the people that still think, Marx was, state of the art thinking about, economics and human nature and whatnot. Would they go to the doctor today and instead of asking for, an x-ray or, some sort of antibiotics or, medications, some sort of intervention that address it, would they instead of choosing the modern interventions, would they just say, no, fuck it, doc, I want the leeches. I know I have bad spirits in my blood. And the leeches, you got to take the leeches and apply them to suck those bad spirits out. No, you wouldn't. So why would you go when you're looking for answers about, the economy, inequality, those types of things? Why would you look to solutions from a guy who came up with these ideas 200 years ago? Like, have we not developed in any of those fields on inequality, on economics since then? Like, seriously. Not to mention the fact that he was a complete fucking, he had no practical experience, right? He never ran a business. He never held government office, right? He was a theorist. He would just write shit that came to his mind. Right, like he never experimented to see if any of his theories were correct. Like, would you fly in an airplane developed by a guy who just used theory only and never experimented to see if his plane was capable of flying? If it was, structurally sound? No, you wouldn't. You would never get on a plane like that. But there are millions and millions of Marxist adherents who, just say, fuck it. Let's just go based on this 200-year-old ideology. What's the worst that could happen? Anyways. Clown Slayer on CNN. I love how the Republicans have a Clown Slayer on CNN. He is that. I think he relishes the role of channeling an overwhelmingly liberal audience. Van Jones, a former advisor to President Obama, and Jennings Fauci told the Daily Caller. I don't know what the fuck that's about. LA, due to budget cuts, decided not to pre-deploy firefighters ahead of the extreme winds because the city didn't want to pay overtime. For lack of a few $1 million, billions were lost. Yeah, it's funny. I was, I get up in the morning and I watch. I go through my YouTube because for years, for decades, I'll get up in the morning and throw on the radio. The radio's all trash now. Like, even AM talk radio, it's all liberal fucking propaganda now. Even like the local all news radio. Typically, you have two types of talk radio. You have all news. They just do the news all day long. They give you traffic and weather, and they'll also do sports and market news. But most of the time, it's just headlines, right? So they'll tell you who was shot, where the traffic is, what's going on in politics, and other things like that. And even the local all news talk radio station here in Toronto, they're so fucking left wing now. They'll do land acknowledgements. So at the top of the hour, when they're like, "This is 680 News, Rogers Communications subdivision, blah blah blah, and, broadcasting from Toronto, which is the ancestral lands of the Mississaugas and blah blah blah." Like they're doing land acknowledgements now. So even like the all news radio station is fucking right wing. So yeah, I used to get up from the 90s when I was in my early 20s. I throw on the news because you get informed on what's happening in the world. And now there's no point to that. Like it's all like left wing propaganda. So now I throw on YouTube, and so I don't subscribe to the Daily Show. Like it's not one of my YouTube subscriptions, but the algorithm still suggests it to me. And so I watched this morning, Jon Stewart and his hot takes on the LA fires. And you would think he would have ripped the LA mayor a new one for being in Ghana while the fires were happening, or for cutting the fire department budget, or the DEI hires, putting a priority on identity rather than competence. But no. Jon Stewart decided he was going to take a dump on Republicans because Republicans were in control of LA, which is ridiculous. It was a Democratic mayor, a Democratic governor, but yeah, it's somehow the Republicans' fault. Anyways, so that's Jon Stewart for you. Not completely unexpected. All right, so here we go. A little Canadian news for you guys. The CBC needed with Elon Musk meddling. What the fuck? Am I having a stroke? CBC needed with Elon Musk meddling in Canadian politics, Heritage Minister. What the fuck does that even mean? Well, that's not much better. So what is this going to say? By the way, we could all take a moment to savor the delicious irony of the Liberals telling us how necessary the CBC is on the same day Carney announces big news on American television. That was a waste of a minute. All right, so let's see what Tom Fitton. If you don't follow Tom Fitton at Judicial Watch, he's pretty good. So what does he say? Federal agents charged with investigating money laundering, public corruption, counterterrorism, narcotics trafficking at Internal Revenue Service, IRS, were pulled from their critical duties to endure woke training that directs them to operate in a culturally inclusive environment and speak up for multiple social identities. Drills focused on equity, diversity, inclusion, and justice instructed agents from the specialized IRS criminal investigation unit questioned how much they know about different cultural norms. Oh my God. Really hope Trump puts an end to this nonsense. So, according to Tom Fitton at Judicial Watch, 388 non-citizens voted in D.C.'s November election. Yeah, that's not surprising. Surprises that's low, actually. There's Elon talking about his rockets. How small is Elon's dick? I'm just kidding. Today's cover, Kathy Hochul was forced to significantly acknowledge subway crime and mental illness in her policy setting, State of the State. Some white man who has no idea what he's talking about. Yes, that's surprising. That's not surprising at all. Don't care about the ceasefire. What does it matter who you love? I love Jesus Christ. Ah! Don't care about it. Now that's a nice setup. I gotta get me a setup like that. And just have the two screens. I need 10 screens. All right, so what do we see here? Democrat Congresswoman Jayapal votes. Who writes this shit? Votes claims banning. Oh my God. I should say votes claiming banning men from girl sports is invasive and harms. Yes, love. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. And banning men from girl sports is harmful to girls. Oh Lord. All right, who is this kind of state-backed samizdat aimed at almost every cliche box ticket? Oh my God. Still with the boat people in the UK. What does the architect have to say? We're at a crossroads. Everything that happens after this weekend will set the course. Yeah, possibly. I mean, if Trump gets in and he realizes what most people want for this administration and is able to execute it properly, and can maintain or grow the party control in the midterms, and really implements his agenda, it's quite possible that the GOP could win the presidential election in 28 with JD Vance. If JD Vance is like a MAGA acolyte, a real MAGA acolyte, and continues on with that, you could see 12 years of the MAGA agenda being in power. So it's quite possible. 12 years is a long time to reform and implement the government, implement policies that that could be true. It could shape the next 100 years. It's possible. I'm hoping so, because the left have really fucked things up. And I say this as a moderate liberal, by the way. What's going on here? Oh, dear God. Seriously. Jesus Christ. Look at this nonsense. Oh, why don't you take the bus? This is why I don't take the bus. Take that subway. He'll help you with congestion. Super safe. Oh, what do you mean you don't want to take the subway? Jesus Christ. We need to bring back shame. We should be able to shame people like that. Oh, lordy, lordy, lord. Where are we at here? Bear with me here. People just got to check to see where we're at in the recording. Oh, doesn't give me a timer. Well, that sucks. Doesn't tell me how long I've been recording. Oh, 40 minutes. Here we go. We're at about 40 minutes. Oh, I'll just keep going. Do you guys want me to keep going? What's that? I hear an overwhelming request that I keep going. So I'll just keep going. Canada, is everything okay up there? We are worried about you. Number of Canadians teetering on the edge of financial insolvency increased significantly this quarter. Half, 50%. Now, thanks for putting 50% in parentheses. Indicate they are $200. Yeah. Well, we've had the inflation issue, and then when they cranked up the interest rates, I'll give you an example. I've used this example before. My mom had a line of credit, 150 grand with the bank. She was paying $300 for minimum payments per month. So just to pay just the interest alone, her minimum payment was $300 a month. When they jacked up the interest rates in 2021, I guess it was 2021, because of the inflation crisis, because Trudeau basically was giving people $2,000 checks for like a year and a half. Literally, $2,000 checks per month for a year and a half. He basically, after doing that, the inflation rate went through the roof, just like everywhere else, because America did the stimulus checks and the UK did the same. They cranked up the interest rates from I forget let's see what it was. Bear with me here. Let's do a little live research. Interest rates, Canada. There we go. Go images. There we are. So, fuck off with your fucking cookies. So in January of 2020, there were like negative interest rates. So up until they were hovering around 2.5% from the January 18th till January 2020. And then when the pandemic hit, they nosedived down to negative. And then that's when they started sending out $2,000 checks a month. And so by 2021, they had skyrocketed up to, that's the inflation rate. Sorry, my bad. That's the inflation rate. The inflation rate nosedived. So, so the interest rates were 1.8%. Went almost to zero, and then in 2022, they started hiking them. So they went from practically zero to, at its height, they went to about 6%, 5%, 6%. And so my mom's $152,000 bank of line of credit, went from $300 a month for the minimum payment to like $1,100 a month, right? And that's on 152 grand. So imagine if you have a mortgage, $500,000, right? Because the average home in Canada right now is about $500,000. In some parts of Toronto, it's $750,000, $1 million. So imagine, let's be conservative here. Let's say you have a house. You just bought a house, $500,000 back in 2022 before the interest rates hiked, right? At the beginning of 2022, right? So you bought a house for $500,000 back in 2022. You're paying I don't know what the interest rate for a variable mortgage was back then, but it wasn't, 6%, right? So, you fast forward and you went from your interest rate being from couple percent to 7%, 8%. And on $500,000, that's a huge amount of money that you haven't budgeted for each month, right? Because you don't expect to be in an inflationary cycle like that. And so, yeah, no wonder the vast majority. And the other problem was after the pandemic ended, because the economy is doing so shit, Trudeau decided to flood the country with migrants. So he released the limits on, temporary foreign workers, international students. So we were importing like 1 million people a year, right? So, that's the other problem. You have all these people moving into the country. Well, they all got to live somewhere, right? So what does that do? That drives up the rents too. So it's not just people who have mortgages who are suffering; it's also renters. Because, like I said, I've posted this about this before. In 2024, I could rent a 1-bedroom apartment in Toronto for $800. Sorry, in 2004. In 2024, I'm renting out 1 bedroom out of my house for $800 a month. Right? So, yeah, it's like they've really messed this country up bad. You think it's bad in America? It's even worse in Canada. Wow, that's a startling statistic. Men are so Declaration of Meme says, are women worse than men? Men killing 1 billion people in wars all over human history. Women killing 1.3 billion people via abortion since 1980. Yeah, but to be fair, women also give birth. Like, they also have been birthing children since then. So how many people have they birthed since 1980? Bear with me here. Let's do the math. Let's do the math. I know abortion is a hot topic or a controversial topic, but I'm going to wade into this quagmire. So since 1980, it's not what I asked you, retard. Oh. Well, that doesn't help. Let's do this. World population in 1980. So we were at 4.4 billion, and now we're at 8 billion. So women have given birth to about, 4 billion people since then? Well, you can't really no, because people die as well. See, I wish there was a way you could just see just the births. Because this is not really helping us. So they've given birth to more than just 4 billion people, because people have also died during that time. So we're talking about what? 10, 20, 30, 40, 44 years. How many people died in those 44 years? So the population has increased by 4 billion, just under 4 billion, so 3.6 billion. But people have also been dying. So you got to figure women have added what? Say 8 billion people? I mean, I think we can forgive them killing. This is a bad meme. I'm gonna have to say thumbs down on that meme. You believe in God? I have mixed feelings about that. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. I'd say most of the times I do. Yeah, don't care about Canadian politics. The Illuminati bought 10 plus wars, millions dead, one Nobel Peace Prize, zero criminal charges. Fair enough. Fair enough. Look at that. Look at that. Look at how they embrace this piece of shit here. They're all pieces of shit. This piece of shit here gave us the New World Order. There's actual video of him saying it. They sampled the video of him saying the New World Order in one of Ministry's songs. So this piece of shit started it all off. That's what happens when Reagan, gets this former CIA head to be his vice president. Deserved the one term he got. Fucking piece of shit. They're all pretty much pieces of shit. This guy's is a piece of shit because he started this identity politics bullshit in the States. The politics of grievance and resentment was basically ushered in by this piece of crap here, Obama. So they're all fucking douchebags. Anyways, what else is going on? Pretty much slow news day. It's not gonna really get a kick off until I really hope he does this. I hope Jerry Jones gets Deion Sanders. I like to see both of these fucking idiots being embarrassed. But yeah, there's not much going on until Inauguration Day. I think then you will see some really, really ratcheting up of the intensity of what's going on. But until then, we're like in a slow rolling boil. It's like a simmering boil. So I think I'm going to call it a day on this video, but I think I might do more of these. I think I might do more of these Good Morning Clown Worlds. I think it's best for me to do it in the mornings. Morning time is when, I have my best thoughts. I'm not run down from the day's activities. So anyways, thank you for watching. I may do another one tomorrow. I may not. You'll know when you know. Anyways, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.